So let me introduce first what I'm going to cover on this session today. Is first of all I'm going to talk about awareness, understanding, and advantage of the reusable component. And the second phase of this session would be like identify how we can identify the reusable component and what could be the approach for implementation. So whenever I'm going to talk about awareness, understanding, and advantage, probably I'm going to explore what is a reusable component at the same time. What could be the mindset of the developer at the same time UX team should adapt to create a reusable component, right? So here next, let's start with what is a reusable component. Reusable component are the self-contained module or unit of software functionality that can be easily integrated into different part of the application or across multiple applications, promoting consistency, efficiency, and maintainability in software development. That is a key feature of reusable component. But apart from that, when I'm talking about saying consistency, efficiency, and maintainability, it is a more of the development life cycle. But what user is getting out of it is that better user experience. I mean, if the component reusable, it means that it is going to look across application ditto same with the different flavor, colors, and so on, but behavior of the component could be the same. It lead to create us a better user experience for the users. So reusability thinking, look, it is a mindset, right? If we are plan to create a reusable component, we should be in that mindset, like where we can find up an opportunity to identify a reusable component, and then creating them. So reusability thinking is a mindset or approach that emphasize a particular developer to create a product or systems or component that can be used in multiple times across different context of the application. So it is just a mindset how you look the application and how you identify the which component can be reusable, and then create that application and use different part of the use that in different part of the application. So here in the example I said RC is going to use on screen 1, screen 2, screen n, doesn't matter where they are, right? But RC is created one time. So one that can be used in the many or many screens, or one can be used on same screen for multiple times, right? So that is the opportunity where we can create a reusable component, and it should be in mind where whenever we approach to create a product and services, we should be in that mindset, identify where we can what we can create as a reusable component and use in application whenever that is needed. So reusable component attribute. So there are two part of reusable component. First is view, second is behavior. So view, what view is going to consist is going to contain the layout, how that is going to look like, what is the style, what is the accessibility concern, and for the user, like a user is different type of user is using that components, right? So how that is going to available for different kind of users, and at the same time localization, a different part of the globe accessing those component, and how data could be injected into the component, and can be more viewable to the user in different perspective, like readability, views, and look and feels, right? Second part is behavior, how that particular component is going to act when user interact with that. So interactivity is more important things, like communication user is making while throughout the product journey, while they are interacting with the application, right? State, how state is getting changed for that component, and what kind of event that component exposed to the user, so that user can interact and perform certain actions. And validation and errors, right? If there is something that is not as expected, how users see those validations and error onto the component. I'm going to give you an example for the card component. And no matter which framework or which language you are going to write, but this is example of Angular, very small piece of code where you can see title, content, and border color for the component, right? At the same time, we are saying like view and edit two events user can perform while throughout the card interaction journey, right? So the first three part, like title, content, and border color, that is mainly for the view, how that card is going to look like. And second part is that where user click on view and edit, or maybe mouse over onto this card, how that card is going to behave. So this should be pretty much identified, and at the same time leveraged with the shared component, or reusable component. An advantage, while why we are thinking to create a reusable component, there is a many advantage, but few that I pointed out or highlighted here is efficiency. So if we are creating a reusable component, probably we are going to efficient development, right? I mean, same component can be used at the many places throughout the developer journey, right? But if it is a reusable, probably it is faster to integrate, faster to develop that particular screen or many screens, because we know bare metal component is available, that there we can just inject data, and that does the job itself. At the same time, like, it is going to look and feel the same way. So developer is not worry about how that is going to behave, at the same time how that is going to look like, because it is already defined in the reusable component, right? At the same time, consistency that I was talking earlier is lead to be look the same but different flavor, that is again could be passed as an input to the component, right? And at the end, like, when we develop an end-to-end project product with the reusable component, probably we are exposing a better user experience to the user, because we use a lot of reusable component that lead a same kind of consistency and use component behavior that user used to with the while using that application. So it is improving the user experience also. Efficiency, consistency, and user experience, that is a key advantage we get from creating a reusable component. At the developer side of it, efficiency. At the user side of it, consistency and user experience. So component development is strategy. Like, we know, like, when we have to go and develop a particular product or solution, we got we get the first requirement, then we plan onto the requirement, and that planning get lot of things, right? First of all, how the screen is going to look like, how the backend, how the services and all, right? So planning has a lot of things to do. And at the stage of planning, we should be defining what can be reusable. I did notice in my throughout the career, like, people move on to the development, then start figuring it out what could be reusable component. But here, at the planning stage, we should be understanding what, or identifying what could be the reusable, and start developing them first, and then that reusable component could get consumed from the UI development team. And here, when I'm saying reusable component, it is not means the different developer stack. It is same developer can develop the reusable component, and then can consume into the product screens or features, right? And one more thing I also want to identify here is kind of design system that need to follow for the reusable component. And it is not for the reusable component throughout the product journey. So what is the design system, I'm going to explore a little bit later during this session. But that is something that is a definition of the product, how that product is going to behave, look, and alert to the user while user journey throughout the product or service in software. So when I'm saying the reusable component, it is not only for the GUI, but for the backend side of it. Like if some user is accessing certain APIs or services, that should also behave the same way, right? Not one API returning the first name and another API returning the F name and kind of stuff. It should be very consistent, and mean means that if someone consuming that particular component can be more predictable in term of the data model also. Similarly, for the component, how data is going to be consistent and inject to the component, it is pretty much well defined and well expected to the component that lead a faster or efficient integration with the UI. I take example ABC example use case like one ABC application, and we have 10 screen and hundreds of feature in those screens, right? And that example, one screen here as example side of it, that has a like header, that has a card for different stats with the images and button, right? And and uh, and that is kind of having a different kind of reusable component need. First of all, we see header, like header could have a logo, could have certain menu items, some badges, and some product name, right? Or service name or whatever is there. So that is again the black highlighted box you can see is also component. But what kind of component, that we can discuss later, but that is a component that is going to be reused throughout the application journey, and that consists lot of another reusable component like button, like badges, and logo component itself, right? At the same time, when we see the card is also kind of one separate design other than the button inside that card. And how button is going to behave is also different properties. So it is when we see everywhere the reusable opportunity here to create a reusable component, right? So maybe element based component, that is again reusable component. There is a card component that is again a reusable. At the same time, whole package, the whole card that behave same and getting used many places throughout the product journey could be again a reusable component, right? So during this example, we understand like where the opportunity we find to create a reusable component. That's right. And here the type of reusable component, when we say earlier I was talking about design system, like let's figure that out for this design system. So design system is kind of a brand that a particular product or service represent to its customer. I mean, when user interact with a particular product, that should be having definition how that product is going to look like, how user interact with that product, and how code is structured for the product that getting delivered inside product, right? Because quality, consistency, and user experience, all three aspects could be required from the customer side of it. I mean, if you say like, yes, UI is looking good from the front, but back is here, Seki code, probably a lot of bugs we are enabling, right? So there should be certain guidelines that need to be followed to develop a particular interface, and that we call design system. For UI design system, for API design system, and for services, different design pattern and systems, right? So here we are exploring UI design system that consists guideline, how the particular component or elements get developed, what could be the color, what could be the color variant, how borders is going to look like, and so on. And how the accessibility, and if there is a accessibility, what kind of theme that the user is going to get out of the box from the design system. And then based on to that design system, There are many kind of components. First, it can be common component, that could be library. Likewise, you everyone know, and if you are belonging to the UI development industry, you probably understand, like, there are many design system and many open source library, like material design, bootstrap, and all. That is kind of part of a common component. So that I'm pointing out the UI library that enable the bare minimal feature to the application, and that can be shared across one product versus another product also. And that should be well managed, version controlled, right? So that when we adapt that particular version, we know what kind of feature we are going to get, what kind of flavor we are going to get, and how that particular libraries element is going to behave and act throughout the product journey. And there are some more type of component that is reusable, like a shared component and feature level component. That is, again, if we are adopting certain design pattern for the UI libraries, our common component, that is based on top of that. If, likewise, I was talking about card, like card has a button, card has a card have some image, card has some content inside, and in the card, that button act differently according to the application needs. So that is a package, right? That has lot of different of the component that could be created as a share component throughout the project journey. Because we know, like, when we are planning for the creating ABC project, we know what and how UI going to look like, and where the reusability could lead us to create a reusable component. So those packages we can create as a shared component. At the same time, like a feature component I was describing earlier, the header of the application, it is kind of feature label, whole header defined, and header has a many element into it, like a button, like a badges, like a logo, like a menu items, and that is all data driven, right? That could be a feature component, because we know, like, it is going to be used in almost all screen, and that driven through the state of the UI, right? So that could be a call feature level component. One thing I'm going to tell, like, when, like, here the common component, then we are creating shared component that is using the common component. And probably when we are creating a feature component, we are using some part of shared component or common component together, right? So it is getting layered, one on top of another, right? So I assume, like, throughout the my developer journey, what I assume is that do not nest too much, like minimize the modification or reusable component at the screen level. Do do not chain a lot. At the same time, do not modify these components at the screen level. To say, like, if you are, let's suppose you have to you have a button or shared component have a many buttons. Like, if you want to modify the button color or border or something like that, if needed, do not do modification at the screen level. Do modify at the shared component level. Try to add additional business logic to that one, so that that component behave the way you want, versus overriding. Because if you're overriding on one screen, second screen is not going to be look ditto same, and that lead on inconsistency throughout the application. So better when we are using shared component. Let's suppose you want to make some changes on shared component, do not change onto the screen level, make a change into the share component itself. At the same time, let's suppose you want to make a change into the button, it is coming from the UI library common component. Make sure you are making that change into the common component itself, not into the shared component, right? Otherwise, everywhere could be inconsistency, and it lead inconsistent user experience. So consistency, likewise in the reusable, while creating a reusable component journey, we should be thinking about the code consistency also. Like, I know if we are creating a buttons and many flavors of buttons, that should be go into the button folder, not somewhere else. So make sure it is a consistent folder structure or domain for the particular component. Similarly, if we are creating component related to the header, it should be going into the header folder structure, not somewhere else. It Why it is really important? Because when other developer developing along with you, like, probably he should be understanding where to go and what to find. Otherwise, that same the different developers start creating another duplicate reusable component, knowing and knowing, right? So make sure like it is a consistent, and that can be document also. Make sure like a naming convention also, the consistency throughout the application journey. It's lead faster a faster reusable component integration, because where the consistency means it can be well documented and well elaborated to other user can just developer can assume that how it can be called or something like that. Otherwise, the lot of learning curve, then efficiency get threat there, right? Coding style also one of the uh, key things that lead to consistency. So probably when 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 developer is making a reusable component, should be well documented, well commented, and well business logic defined into the coding style of site, right? i mean do not do over engineering on top of the coding style. If something can be segregated, develop a different util function and class, and try to call them into the coding side of it, making more clean code and documented code that lead faster development, at the same time faster development and faster integration. And documentation, I was saying, like, when creating folder structure, naming convention, coding style, at the same time, when particular component get created, make sure like that has a well defined documentation on top of it. And if that has a well defined documentation, it is easy to easy to a faster learning and easy to integrate, because then developer do not need to go inside to understand it, and and then start integration. Version control also, I said, like, every reusable component should be based on the versioning. So let's suppose version 1 coming from the component, version 2 is coming from the component, it can be well defined. So that product 1 using version 1, product 2 version using version 2, and so on. It can be well well in defined in version, so that flavor could not change throughout the uh, products, right? And here, there is some small quote: reuse to innovate, not to reinvent. So make sure you are innovating, not reinventing. That is what I was saying earlier. Like, do not try to override, try to use as it is. Or if you want to make a change at the root level, not at the top level, right? That is what is my take on into this one. And with this, I'm going to end that. I wanted to collect a lot of coding with this, but I know this session is really short, so I figured it out, like, more of understanding what is a reusable and how we strategize to develop a reusable component. Here I'm finishing my session, and thank you so much for being with me, and I'm ready to take question if any from the user side of it. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you, Indu. That was fantastic. Yes, there are questions. So we have 3 minutes. So I'll jump straight in. So going through this, the first thing I'll ask is around what are some of the common challenges you seen or that you see in terms of collaboration between the teams? Let's say it could be designers or developers with regards to components or the design systems, particularly when it comes to reusable components.
Common challenges is that, like, look, as the engineering side of it, developer develop a product, right? And user experience side of it, experience engineer defined experience. But I was talking earlier, the planning, right, where the product get defined, and where we define how that product is going to look like. So it is more lead to the user experience team identify what and how the product is going to look like in the first stage, not making change over a time, because it is going to kill a lot of developer, at the same time common component developer team time, right? Because if we replan again and again and again, probably whole development stack is going to change according to that. So that should be pretty much very consistent and well defined at the planning side of it, versus development side of it.
Yeah, amazing. And could you also give an example of design patterns that are particularly effective for reusable components in complex UIs?
Design pattern right now, like, I didn't get the question correctly, but many design pattern that is readily available in the market right now. But companies also, like, if there is a big company wants to define their own design pattern, how their button is going to look like, how they want to behave, right? That can be defined. It is a more of a artistic work, that UX engineering does, versus engineering, right? So it is a more of artwork, that design pattern can define product to product and service to service. But Google define their own, like, material design, and Bootstrap also have a material and their own design pattern. Similarly, like, if new product and service developer is building, can define their own design pattern, but make sure it is accessible. I mean, make sure, like, this is particular product and service going to use from a different kind of users, some with the disability, non-disability, right, blindness, and also make sure it is more consistent in that perspective, and design that design patterns support them.